some plays, especially when we get over to like Dyson, where they actually let the point get captured, and then they attack to try to take the point. And, well, speaking of the game, we're actually heading over to Combustion as our first map here. It's going to be Gravity up against BLERST, and I'm definitely not going to ever stop enjoying saying their team name, as it's going to be BLERST on the blue side and Gravity on the orange.
Yeah, some big blasting going to be going down into this matchup, hopefully, as it should be exciting stuff. Obviously, being on Combustion as well, we're going to see a lot more of that close-range combat. That is normally what comes through, darting around in those tight angles, especially around this central pillar, Jason.
Yeah, and this is actually a really, really tough point to hold, I want to say. It's probably one of the most difficult, just for the fact there's so many angles you could be shot from. But in general, I don't think we've seen really many teams using these odd positions actually catch you off guard. And speaking of movement, we talked about how quick you can get around the map here. We're going to see BLERST going just for that. Here's going to push directly into another two-man squad trying to defend this angle. And they immediately back away, realizing, yeah, there's too many people coming this direction. So they do stay away. They do stay safe for now. Flush Go-Go, a little bit low on HP. But all in all, no one's actually lost their life here on this next push. And the attack will be coming out of BLERST now.
Yeah, straight on towards the point. Gravity playing fairly spread out as they wanted to try and reconverge back against the point. Good damage coming through, and they're winning this one pretty heavy-handedly.
Yeah, and the important part to keep in mind, if you do get an elimination when a team is defending and they have control of point, their respawn time is doubled. So you have an advantage to come in, you know, after getting wiped. If you take one, maybe two people out, you're going to have like a 4-on-2 or a 4-on-3. You have the possibility to have the man advantage. The problem is they've taken so long to get the respawns all in since they all didn't die at the same time that we do have Dervil coming back into the equation to fight yet again. And actually, it's going to be Flush Go-Go getting caught off guard a little bit too aggressive. He's going to have to go for the respawn back through. Now BLERST have a man advantage as they're going to push into the point from these different angles.
Well, 65% as they are contesting. Everyone's swarming their way back across. You can see the health bars trying to struggle to keep themselves alive as they are popping those current heals. It's a bit of an awkward firefight as the spam's coming through. All of a sudden, they're starting to drop, Jason. Everyone falling like flies. They might have 74% secure, but they're at least losing this fight finally.
Yeah, it'll be turned over to BLERST. I really like the focus fire we saw out of them. I mean, being able to call targets out, everyone hitting the target at the same time, just makes it easier. In general, like it's the best way to play because you need to be able to take those targets out, and you need to be able to get that man advantage built up. And ideally, if you can help when your teammates low on HP survive for just a second or two longer, that's a second or two that they could be doing damage to help you finish off another kill at the same time. We are aware, by the way, that there is currently no sound going on. I am being informed that will be fixed after this first this first round. So we should hopefully have it, the map, and it should be fixed, shortly thereafter. So we are aware of it. But right now, all the focus is going to be on Boop as he gets knocked very low on HP. He's trying to heal back up. You can see Gravity coming in. Dervil's going to be the first one to be eliminated off the bat. But just look at that. 3 players immediately drop on the side of BLERST right off of that. And Gravity should have control of the point yet again.
It's actually interesting seeing how BLERST are playing this as well with the weapons they've been bringing out, Jason. A lot more use of the Pulsar this time around, which is pretty effective at most range. Moderate sort of fire rate there really is more of your assault rifle-esque type of pistol. But it didn't work out too well on the defense from 94%, and it's increasing. They're going to have to contest this and fight right now if they want to try and stop it. If they lose this one, it will be claimed by Gravity, and of course they're going to take it.
Yeah, and you can see right there, I mean, with the percent at what it was, they needed someone to touch that point right away, which meant that Lone Gecko went in by his lonesome self, immediately got focused down, and they're immediately going to be down a player. So that's just kind of the way the game does like come down to at the end. You know, if you look at, Echo Arena, if you're more of a fan of that game, or that's more of a game that you play often, like once you're behind like that, you're forced to play a completely different way, and you have to make some sort of decision to actually get back into this. And knowing that you, what was like 5% when they were starting to rush down towards a point, knowing you have no room for error and you're never going to have the fight set up the way you want to, you kind of just have to play with the way that the cards are dealt to you.
We're seeing nice holds as well from Gravity when they actually have had overall control of the point with one player sitting there floating around the central pillar. You can kind of use that to dart around a little bit. It's the mechanics we've seen with the movement. You get a lot of acceleration if you're holding on to something. We see players make it quite hard for you to hit their hitbox as they're moving back and forth, and the rest of them set up around on the outskirts of the point to actually converge and help out. But we're getting back into it now.
Well, notice actually how Gravity, they immediately went for the point, and BLERST were more happy to actually take their time. So BLERST, they want to go for the retake of it, let the point actually be taken, force them onto the longer respawn timer, and they actually have a better opportunity to set up fights they want to. The problem is Lone Gecko is going to get caught off here. Dervil able to take down Nalvik as well. He's getting very low on HP as he's going to be healed back up. And the thing is, like, yeah, you have the opportunity to set up a fight that you want, but that quick aggression that we talked about, the snap aggression I want to call it, of just snapping your fingers and making that push happen, catching someone on BLERST off guard when he's maybe trying to transition into a different angle to attack, and then you're going to get down a man. And then you see now BLERST waiting for the respawn to come back through. Again, the push comes in yet again. except the shield's going to actually provide a lot of extra cover here using that force field to stay alive for now, so he doesn't get burst down. And again, if the push comes through, I think that's... Actually, I didn't see who that was. Maybe it's Flush Gogo who might get caught off guard here, but it doesn't matter. Dervil's going to be there to help him out, and just like that, BLERST lose another 2.
That was actually beautifully done as well. Using the meteor to get so much splash damage out of the point where they were stuck in that tight choke point as they then aggress towards the site. You can see the Nova hitting them with the Mozambique technique, Jason. The 1 to the head, 2 in the chest, and it finishes them all off.
As you learn if you're watching Onwards, double tap to the head also works. Good old Zombieland teaching you a lot of good life lessons. I don't know how that's a life lesson. Anyways, we do see again another push coming through. 66% in counting. Lone Gecko again has fallen right off the bat. Boop's going to be bursted down, and this should be another hold for another time here at a Gravity. You seem to just really, maybe it just turned into a black hole because they're just sitting around this control point, pulling in players, pulling in more eliminations, and more importantly, pulling in more points.
It's these firefights as well. So easy for Gravity right now. Just completely blowing BLERST out of the water, time in, time out. And it's going to have to be a race if they want to contest against this one. 93% already.
So Adalego went in there and actually did get 1 elimination off of that. The problem is because they actually pushed out aggressively, caught him off guard. They're trying to keep someone around the point to contest it. But in the end, Gravity's going to take a very quick and simple 2-0 there on that first map.
Yeah, that was actually very nicely played from Gravity. Overall, good defense towards the site, very confident. I like the strategy towards the end as well. Once they knew essentially they're over the threshold where we're going to win this, they went a lot more aggressive to deny any chance of even contesting the point.
And the thing is, this match is basically like top of the table kind of match between these two teams. They proved to be some of the best in Echo Combat. So you would imagine the winner of this would probably be the team to go through first into the closed qualifiers, have that #1 seed. Of course, going into the next little series we have of the season, next little session, it'll be 2 teams. But having that #1 seed off the bat is so important. And more importantly, off the back of that, you can relax now. You can take some time to really iron out some things, really focus on certain things that you want to learn about, and really kind of ramp up your game, and then see where you can go at that closed qualifier, and hopefully to that main event.
That is true. It's also being sort of able to save a lot of your strategy or overall benchmarks. Obviously, if you're not having to compete there as visually, and people don't have constant games to look at and see what you're doing, you can try and surprise people a lot more in those later stages.
So we'll be heading over to our next map, by the way, Dyson. I think this is going to be a really interesting thing just for the fact that this is such a more of a different style of holding. I want to see more maps introduced into Control, into King of the Hill, just because it really changes the way you have to play. We saw on Combustion, a lot of players were grouped up on the point to hold it using the defense that was naturally there in front of you to hold on to. Then they would get aggressive and push out. This map we see typically like 2 players sit on the point, 2 players like to push out and get aggressive to catch off people, or there's like these little tunnels behind the point that you can't sneak around in through. But the threat scanner can completely catch you off guard, so you really have to keep a sense of understanding of when that could be up and when they're going to use it. So it really challenges teams to really change the way they're going to play depending on the maps.
Yeah, it's purely because of the scale as well, right? Compared to what we saw before.
Oh yeah, much smaller.
Way more close quarters. It really is coming down to sort of those tight fights that we saw. Everyone gravitated towards the point and sat there the entire time. Here, as you touched on, the fact that you actually sort of see little squads breaking off. You have the 2-player setups where they'll try and complement each other, and it's got a bit of a different dynamic to it.
As you mentioned, a lot of pulsars being used. You see them a lot being shot off the bat here, but again, BLERST are just being demolished here. And one thing I want to point out another time, it's just a nice little, neat little storyline for Flush Gogo, because he played Unspoken, he played Sprint Vector at OC5, he qualified for Sprint Vector, because he didn't even play the game before. He's like, all right, I'll give it a shot. I got the game, tried it out, qualified. A lot of people, and I know I said this 2 weeks ago, like they didn't think he could transition to the Echo games and perform well, but he actually did with a couple of other players and had one of the best teams, which is what now they're on Gravity. So it's really cool to see that he's able to like transition between multiple different games, especially when this is such a different game than what he's been playing, where Unspoken's very, you're not moving. Sprint Vector, a lot of stamina you build up playing that way, and he kind of has incorporated all this into how he's playing now.
Yeah, we've seen some of that actually transition across, though, onto his movement. You can see the way he floats around the map. He's very effective at using that cover in a way where it will complement you. If you can try and keep your body crunched down as much as possible, make it awkward for you to be hit, and he is quite good at that. At this point, though, Gravity once again dominating early on, as per usual. 32% already racked up, but finally the fights start to come through.
Adolegos actually was behind the point, but he gets caught out again. I feel like the communication out of Gravity just really catching BLERST off guard. They have the information to know where people are going. You see the threat scanners come in, so they know exactly what they're going to do or where they're going to be, which is allowing them to push in from behind. believe that was Flush Gogo who's going to be low in HP, but will escape for now. And the last player just kind of roaming around, like it's a 2-on-4. They either need to die right now or get some eliminations. And they're able to take down Stody, able to take down Flush Gogo. Idolego able to finally come up big here and get a couple of eliminations. Gets a third as well. So there's a really realistic chance here for BLERST to take this point back when they get the respawns.
Yeah, the movement on the point here as well can be so much more awkward in the way it's designed. You can quickly go for those up and down flicks to keep your movement in force. And they actually are going to be able to take it. BLERST eventually getting themselves on the map as they start to rack up some control towards that main point.
Now the question comes here, Jackie, can they maintain the control? Can they defend like Gravity's been able to do before? You can see a big little split of actual pushes coming through. Nice little engagement of BLERST does catch a couple players off guard towards that western side on the mini-map, but you can see the kill feed's going all orange here. Stody gets a double. Ducky gets, I believe, 2 as well. And the point will be turned back around here for Gravity. And now we have to see BLERST, I want to call them Blast. They need some sort of answer here. And everything they've been throwing at them, even the kitchen sink, has not been working.
No, it's rough. They're getting completely mauled by these meteors. For the most part, Gravity just seems to have impeccable aim. They're landing these shots, and there's unreal splash damage that's coming out. It's just knocking BLERST back.
Like this. So they actually backed off the point. They let BLERST take it, because now if they wipe BLERST here, they won the round because of the respawns. It's going to take forever to get back through. Lone Gecko's going to be down, has double the timer on him now. They're actually going to take the point back. And if they wipe out the last 3 players, which they've done just now, this should be it. Like, this should be Gravity taking the first round. Lone Gecko cannot get there by himself in time. And a very smart play by Gravity to just give up that control. And honestly, like it confused me at first, I sure as hell bet it confused BLERST.
Yeah, it's crazy. Gravity have actually, I think so far, out of obviously the fairly limited pool we've seen from how the strategy's been working for a lot of these teams, they've shown the most ingenuity in actually understanding how to play around the point to make the full use of the game mechanics.
Yeah. I definitely agree. I mean, seems like to be... One thing is, we have to keep in mind, like, BLERST, Lone Gecko, Boop, Nalvik, and Idolego, all 4 of them are playing Echo Arena at the same time. They are competing week in and week out for that. So you have a team like Gravity right now who is just focused on Echo Combat. And I think that's where we're seeing them be one of the best teams in Europe, because they only have to focus on this game. They don't have to spend time practicing for Echo Arena to try to compete and be one of the best teams there as well. And I think that's why we're seeing them be so dominant, at least so far today.
Yeah, obviously, as much as the skills are transferable from the movement mechanics and the extra little tidbits you'll learn there, actually going into it purely as just playing Echo Combat will give you an edge, and you can see that strategy work so well. Here's the little 2v2 squads that are coming out, where they'll actually diversify how they're playing, split up a lot more. And it's working well to get the early picks. They're just mauling them.
Well, the point should be unlocking here in a second, should be taken over to the side of Gravity. They do have 3 players left alive as the respawns to come back through. You can see Lone Gecko here towards the northeast side trying to push in. Actually, I think that's going to be Idolego to push in across the map behind them. I don't know if they've actually spawned. If he can catch the respawn here on a Ducky, this could be massive. I think he's going to look for the 1v1, but he's not going to win out the trade. Ducky's going to take him down. I think the threat scanner might have come in to actually spot that one, spot that flank from coming through. And Gravity will get the hold another time.
For the most part, when Gravity have got control of the point initially, they have been able to hold it to about 50%. Let's see if they can try and keep that average going. There's tons of damages coming out, constant connections from those meteors. It's ridiculous how many hits they've actually been getting off with this. The actual refire time is quite high, but it doesn't matter if you're landing all your shots.
And I like the AoE aspect of it too, because of how well people can move around using the surfaces to grab and just dodge away. It makes it a lot easier to hit the shots and get guaranteed damage through. The thing is, BLERST have been able to take the point back. We've seen that, I think, almost every round so far across these 2 maps. But it's just more of a little bit too late, and they're not able to defend. They need to find some way to do it more effectively. Look at Flush Gogo just dancing around on point. Eventually takes himself down with the AoE damage, but they've held the point yet again, 64% and counting. And look at this, just the focus fire out of them is fantastic.
Yeah, it's so hard. Obviously, with 2 players right in your face like that, when you're just getting pounded on by these chassis, there's nothing you can really do. You just simply get overwhelmed and go down. They're now able to hunt a lot more as well, spreading out, trying to force the staggered respawns for BLERST. It really is making it awkward.
80%. We're looking at, too, potentially one of the last attacks here out of BLERST. You need to see them... When you see Lone Gecko just die, he needs to be eliminated. He needs to respawn back in. And the thing is, with 10% left to go, they have to throw someone on this point to contest it. It's going to be number 88. It's going to be Nalvik if he can get there in time, but I'd imagine he's not even going to have the time to do just that. And Gravity will take the match here in a quick 2-0, technically 4-0 if you look at all the rounds as well. Not dropping a single round and not really dropping too much percent over the course of today.